You sure do like to share your opinions, talking big like somebody's listening. Nobody's listening.
Max! Oh!
Hit the ignition. Now you listen. Hop up in the window. Smaller and smaller you fade down. Hop up in the window.
Alright, I just did a who I want to win the Premiership video, and I'm going to say who I think win the Premiership. So the last video was my heart, what my heart is saying, or what it wants. And now it's what my head thinks will happen, although one's kind of cheating. But just like the previous video, we're going to start at 1, finish at 8, even though the last video was 1, 8, then 2 to 7. But there was context behind that. We'll do 1. My head, partly my biased head, is saying the GWS Giants will win the Premiership. Why? Because I predicted the Giants to win the flag at the start of the season. So I'm not backing down now. Last year I predicted Brisbane. I predicted Brisbane in 2022 actually, in October, to get to the 2023 Premiership final and win the flag against Collingwood. I called the grand final. I called Brisbane grand final, Brisbane Collingwood grand final. I called Collingwood minor premiers. The fact I called both of those two things is crazy. I called Collingwood minor premiers and I called the grand final. I didn't call the winner. I said Brisbane flag. I was wrong, but I was very close. I was very close. And I was like, you know what? This year is the Giants year. 2024 is the Giants year. That is what I predicted at the start of the season. Giants to win the flag. I was wrong last year about Brisbane. Fair enough. But I was only 5 points off being right. So we're going to try this time. And I'm going to stick with my prediction. There's no point in me saying that start of the season and they make the finals in the top 4. And me saying, you know what? I'm picking someone else. No, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. I'm going to stick to my guns from the start of the season. Giants to win the flag. I think they can do it. Last year, they were 1 point off the grand final. Did really well. Really resurgent towards the end of the season. This season they had a great start to the season. Terrible middle. I don't know what happened to them during that time, but they picked it up again. I know they lost the last game, but I think they'll be very confident going to the finals against a Sydney side that may be first, but dropped in form recently, and the Giants' head-to-head record against them in the finals is very good. So I wouldn't bet against Giants right now. And if they win, they get a home prelim. For a chance at the grand final, and I think they'll fancy their chances against whether they have to play in that prelim. So, but that's if they beat Sydney. They could of course lose. That is still possible. It's been an unpredictable season. I think this is an 8 where anyone can beat anyone. Like I look at it and I think, oh, Sydney can beat the Giants. Giants can beat Sydney. Port can beat Geelong. Geelong can beat Port. Dogs can beat Hawthorn. Hawthorn can beat Dogs. Lions can beat Carlton. Carlton can beat the... I'm going to say they can beat the Lions, but I think the least likely result out of everything I said just now is Carlton winning. Them winning at the Gabba is a big ask, I feel. It's a big ask. But we shall see what happens with that. I know someone brought up that, Brisbane lost to Carlton at home. Yeah, that was opening round. And it was by a point. And Brisbane, if you look at Brisbane's ladder, if you look at the ladder right now, Brisbane have 14 wins. Think about it. 10 of those since the bye rounds. So before the bye round, before Brisbane's second bye round, they had won 4 games. Almost everyone beat them back then. Like I don't see why them losing to Carlton opening round means Carlton can beat them in the finals. And Carlton as well were a top 4 side back then. Like they were a top 4 side start of the season. Even first half of the season, a long while they were a top 4 side. And they just scraped the 8. It's a different Brisbane team, a different Carlton team. And also, using that same logic, Sydney win the flag then. Let's all pack up and go home. Well, Sydney were dominant most of the season. They're going to win the Premiership. Like, where is the logic coming from? And like, I think the same person who said this kept saying, oh, but I called Hawthorn making the 8. And I'm just like, but we lost our first 5 games. So I thought the first 5 games mattered to you, mate. Because you didn't, when you said we make the 8, you didn't say based out of the first 5 games that we lost. So that was a weird way to, oh yeah, Brisbane lost to Carlton in the opening round. The opening few rounds, mate, Geelong dominated the comp. Flipping Hawthorn lost their first 5. Sydney were unbeatable for like 15, 16 rounds. Like, what are we doing here? Anyway, the point is there's no guarantees in AFL, and you certainly can't. Obviously, Carlton can beat Brisbane. I don't mind someone saying, oh, the Blues can beat the Lions at the Gabba. I think that's fine. But basing it off, oh, they beat them in the opening round, therefore they can beat them now. How? That's like 6 months ago, mate. It's not relevant to now. They have not kept the same form that they did from back then. Anyway, yeah. My prediction is the Giants, most likely to win the Premiership. In second place, Sydney Swans. I think people are underestimating them. Yes, they dominated most of the season. They have 6 defeats. Most of those, I think 4 or 5, were in the last 2 months. It's not like they've had the greatest endings to the season. They went from looking unbeatable to looking like they are very much beatable. But I'm looking at the rest of the 8. And I'm thinking they can beat Port Adelaide. I'm thinking they can beat Geelong. I'm thinking they can't play at the Gabba, so they can beat Brisbane. I'm thinking they can beat the Western Bulldogs, Hawthorn or Carlton. I don't see why they cannot beat anyone there that's not GWS. GWS is the one team that I can't see them beating, even though it could happen. And I said it could happen. It's possible. I'm not saying it can't happen. But the Giants, for me, are the only team where I think, oh, they'd be clear favourites against Sydney. That's just the way I look at it. And I'm thinking to myself, yes, Sydney's form has dropped, but looking at the 8s, Sydney can beat most of them. For me, from my perspective, home or away, Sydney can beat both of them, most of them. Okay? Unfortunately for them, they're playing the Giants, who have not lost to them in the finals series. They played 3 times previously, I think. GWS won all 3 of them. It's definitely a bogey team for them, especially in the finals. But I can't see a reason why Sydney can't go all the way at the moment. I can't see a reason why they can't at least make the grand final. For me, I can't see why not. I could be wrong, and obviously I've been wrong plenty of times. Last year I said GWS 17th place. Did that happen? No, sir. It couldn't be more wrong. They're 1 point off a grand final and I put them 17th. I've gotten plenty of things wrong before, and I will get plenty more things wrong in the future. But I would rather say it with chest and get it wrong than just be like, oh yeah, just play it safe, yes, okay, yeah. It's like, let's... I'm flabbergasted by my own speech. I've been left speechless by myself. But I'm saying sometimes it's worth taking a bit of a risk. And I'm going to say, looking at the 8 right now, the most likely team to win the flag apart from GWS is Sydney. I'll say it with chest. If I'm wrong, that's fine. I hope Hawthorn win, of course. But I reckon Sydney's chances are better than people think. In third place, another team whose chances I think are better than people might think is Port Adelaide. I think they'll have a point to prove, and I think they can definitely beat Geelong. If they beat Geelong, they've got a home final. I'm just saying, obviously, that home final could be Sydney or GWS, but we'll get to that when we get to it. But the point is, if they just beat Geelong, they have every chance of doing it. If they beat Geelong, 2-week break, they got a home game to make it. Obviously, it doesn't always end well. The Western Bulldogs went to South Australia and they pummeled them. They embarrassed them in their own backyard. Like, it's not like it's a guarantee or a given. But I think Port already, like, they've been playing well the last few games. Obviously, finals is a different animal, but they've been playing all the last few games. If they carry that form into the finals, if they could find a way to deal with that pressure, they've got the quality to do it. They've got the talent to do it. I wouldn't say... I wouldn't count them out. I wouldn't count them out. I wouldn't count them out. This is going to be crazy if Sydney Port Adelaide is a prelim. And I said that... imagine the prelim is GWS versus Sydney Port Adelaide. And I'm just like, I cooked in this video. I told you all. I called it. I'm just saying. In 4th place, Brisbane Lions. I would have put them higher if they finished top 4. I think in the top 4 they would have been very dangerous. And they could have been. They could have been even second. But they messed it up for themselves. Like, they only got themselves to look at. They had the golden opportunity. Obviously, they went on a 9-game win streak. It's hard to go on a 12-game win streak. They ended up with 10 out of 12 wins. So it's not an easy thing to do. Having said that, they could have easily been there. They could have easily been there. But because they've dropped to 5th, it makes me think, because I think they can beat Carlton. And I think in the second week it'll be very tough. It'll be very tough in the second week, whichever team it is that drops down. I'm not saying they can't do it. They'd rather go to Sydney than the SCG, probably. Sorry, SCG? I'm saying they'd rather go to either Sydney ground, probably, than the MCG. Maybe. I don't know. What's the record like away in Sydney? Yeah, both stadiums. I guess 3 stadiums, because GWS technically have 2. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Obviously, the other GWS stadium is not in Sydney, but still, you get the point. I fancy them to possibly go far, but obviously, if they got to win in week 2 against a very tough opponent away. But I think they got a better chance than going to the MCG. So, we shall find out about that. But I think they can win week 1. But them going all the way, it's a tough run. If they do it, they've earned it, clearly. But they have too tough a run for me. I've still put them 4th. But that's just because of me thinking about the rest of the teams and thinking they probably are less likely to do it. But Brisbane from 5th, it can be done. Dogs did it from 7th, but because they're not finished top 4, I'm a little bit like, they might not do it, but we'll see. We'll see. I think they still got it in them, and if they do play like they did in the last, not in the last, in that 9-game win streak since the bye round, they have won 10 games out of 12 since the bye round. If they keep the form up of those 9 games, they got every chance. So I'm looking forward to seeing how they do. In 5th place, Geelong. I just really trust Geelong. I know they've made it into 3rd again. They had a dominant start to the season, and then it started to fall off a bit for them, like the Giants as well, same thing. And they picked up again towards the end, just like the Giants. It's just, for me, they don't look as convincing as the Giants, and for me, they look more beatable than the Giants do. Because they've had pretty similar seasons, very parallel. They finished on the same wins, same losses as well. Same win-loss record. Both had a great start to the season. They were 1 and 2. Then they both dropped off. They both came back. Seemingly at the same time. There's some weird deja vu going on with both of these teams. Beginning with G. But yeah, they've made it here. It's just that for me, the Giants look more convincing than Geelong. And I think Geelong lose the first week. So, obviously this is what I think will happen. So, based on what I think will happen, I think Geelong lose the first week. And that puts them in a precarious position against either the Dogs or Hawthorn, who both play good brands of football. And there'll be more pressure on them, I think, compared to the Dogs or the Hawks. So that would be a very interesting game. But if they beat Port Adelaide, then this is all backfired on me. But we shall find out about that. And it's a bit boring to end with, of course, but I put 6th, 7th and 8th in 6th, 7th and 8th in that exact order. So in 6th place, the Western Bulldogs. Oh, wow! The Dogs are playing the Hawks, but he's put the Dogs as more likely than the Hawks. Well, I'm thinking of my head, mates. The Dogs have more finals experience in the past few years. They play good football. They got the 2nd highest percentage in the comp. And 3rd place isn't even close. I mean, Brisbane are okay, to be fair. Not that far behind. But they're actually very close to Sydney's percentage. You know? They're only like 1% off. there or thereabouts. They play good football. Main thing with them is they miss a lot of shots, but regardless, they play good football. They're tough to beat, and any team could have a hard time against them. And I think their brand of football can go all the way. I think it's possible. And I think it's more likely than Hawthorn. Obviously, I hope Hawthorn win, and I think we can beat them. But they can beat us. That's the thing. Western Bulldogs Hawthorn is a good game, and it could be quite even. Anything. The scoreboard could be anything, honestly. I think, like, if you showed me a result in the future, oh, the Dogs won by 40 points, I'd be angry, I wouldn't be surprised. Dogs won by 1 after the siren. Wouldn't be surprised, still be angry though. Hawthorn won by 1, I'd be very happy. Again, wouldn't be surprised. Hawthorn won by 40. I wouldn't be surprised either. Honestly, no result in that game could surprise me. Unless it's like a 100-point margin. I feel like that game could go any direction. Any direction. Both teams have, Hawthorn ended the season on great form, scoring a lot of goals. We did have easy opponents, of course, last 3 games. But still, we had some very good wins, good form. We did amazingly well towards the end of the season, second half especially. Western Bulldogs, they've had a few games that have been, very dodgy. But the games that they've won recently have been very good. They played well, they performed well. Both teams play good football. As I said, it's like 100 times the last 2 videos, but it's true. This game could be anything. So I put Dogs 6, Hawthorn 7th, but it's very close. I hope we win, but the way I see it, it's 50-50, and may the best team win. And hopefully it's not the night game. I guess we'll find out by the time you're seeing this video. But as far as I know, when I'm recording this, they've not announced it yet. But Hawthorn have got 1 night game all season, the Gold Coast away. It would be very ironic it would be very, very on brand if Hawthorn Western Bulldogs was the Twilight game week 1. I hope I'm wrong, but that is very much a possibility right now, which I'd be very frustrated by because I'm working that day and the day before. So flipping a Twilight game for me is like 7:35 a.m. Imagine going to work, coming home at midnight, 7:35 a.m. game, then going back to work again in the afternoon. I'd need a few coffees. I need a few coffees. I hate coffee. I'd only drink it if I need to badly stay awake. Obviously, there's Red Bull, but I wouldn't drink like 4 Red Bulls because that's gonna kill me. But I would need a lot to survive that. So I'm hoping that Hawthorn get a nice 10:30 in the morning night game. That would be very nice. Please do that. But yeah, in 8th place, Carlton. Carlton in 8th place is simply based around them playing at the Gabba. It literally is that. That's literally all it is. I think Brisbane will beat them. I'm confident Brisbane will beat them. And I reckon they'll lose. So it's partly because I want them to lose, but I also think they can lose. Brisbane, I think, are a lot stronger right now, and based on form, like, it's hard to see the Blues pulling it off, especially away at the Gabba. They have to be at the best of their game. And if Carlton do win, which is possible, they might only just win by a few points. I don't think that they won't have an easy day. I'll tell you that much. They won't have an easy day. But I think the Brisbane will beat them. The Brisbane Lions will beat them comfortably. I think it'll be the biggest margin of the round. Could be wrong, of course. Could be wrong. But and I hope I'm right. But we shall see how that game goes down. So I put Carlton last on the basis that they're playing a very tough game. And if Hawthorn finished 8th, I would have put us last. Because I would have said, oh, we're going to the Gabba. I have no confidence in this. So we shall find out what happens. Okay, but go Hawks. Hopefully we do it. If not, go Lions. This is your boy Davidoff. Please like, share, subscribe. Thanks for watching. Have a good day and goodbye.
Let's take it slow. Where you go, I go too. And if you hit the bottom, I'm going down with you. Let's take it slow. Who cares where we gotta be? You know you'll have a good